Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be local nursery plant shopping at the Bulon Garden Center in Metro Manila, Philippines. As always, please hit the like button for my video, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. Also subscribing to my channel with all of the notification bell on for daily plant content. But today I will be visiting another local plant nursery out in the Philippines. This is part of my video series of my vacation in the Philippines. For those that don't know me, my name is Richie and my family is original from the Philippines. I do plant shopping videos on a daily basis. I happened to spend about 2 weeks in the Philippines, and while I was in the Philippines, I filmed a lot of the plants that are readily available there. So today I will be going at the Bulon Garden Center. I wasn't able to really see a lot of garden centers in the Philippines just because they were I just didn't have that much time, but I happened to make it here. And you can see here we have some Pacara plants, which are known as the Chinese croton plants. And you can see in the Philippines, this is a tropical country, so a lot of the plants are really grown outdoors more so than indoor plants. The concept of indoor house plants is really a foreign term in the Philippines, because for the most part, all of these plants, like for instance these spider plants, are grown as landscape plants. You can see that a lot of these plants are actually in grower bags versus being in plastic planters, which I think is a little bit more eco-friendly. And then you can see right over here we've got some croton gold dust. Now crotons are known as finicky plants in the western part of the world. I am based out in North Dallas, so for the most part I've had difficulties growing crotons, but in the Philippines they can grow as full-grown trees. And then this is some type of variegated marantha plant that I've never seen until I've gone to the Philippines. Now if you're looking for pricing, the conversion rate when I was in the Philippines was 58 pesos to $1. So something like this right here, this marantha, was only 100 pesos. So it was literally around $2.50 if you were going to really do the math. I didn't really do well in math when I was in school, but that's really an inexpensive plant considering you're getting a beautiful variegated plant. You know, that's the thing that makes me super envious about the Philippines, is that they have so many varieties of tropical plants. And, you know, I talk about aglaonema in a lot of my plant shopping videos. Most of them are big box store plant shopping videos, but you can see that there are a variety of different types of aglaonemas. Now, some of these aglaonemas have been imported from Indonesia as well as Thailand. So you can see that since the Philippines is in a Southeast Asian country, it's readily available to get these plants. Like, look at this right here. I would love to have been able to get this aglaonema. That silver foliage is just majestic, alongside with all of the other aglaonemas here. Unfortunately, I'm not as versed with all of the aglaonema names. The only drawback about a lot of these plant shops that I went to in the Philippines is that they didn't really have a lot of the plant IDs or specific ones. If it's an aglaonema, it was really just labeled as an aglaonema. So that was only the drawback. But as far as beautiful plants, they just had so many readily available ones. So like we're looking at these aglaonema here. Now this aglaonema, which I believe is in a 6-inch grower pot, was about 200 pesos, which I think is an amazing deal. And then you can see as you turn around here, we've got some more aglaonema. The thing about the Philippines as well is aglaonemas are really considered a common plant. They're inexpensive. They're a plant that they utilize a lot in landscapes. They aren't really grown indoors as much. I mean, I would say when I was shopping in malls and whatnot, I did see aglaonemas indoors, but for the most part, all of these plants that I'm looking at right now have been grown out in full sun. Yes, full sun. And while some of them may have gotten bleached out, they definitely didn't burn. And I don't know if it's because of the humidity levels or if the Philippines is just a tropical country that provides really good growing conditions. You can see right here, this is a variegated ginger plant. Now, when I asked the pricing, it was about 400 or 300 pesos. And then you can see we've got some more aglaonema right here, some fan palms, which I think are adorable. I wish I could grow those. And then you can see there's just even more aglaonema. So I think about some of my plant foldy friends like Janae Simone and I Live Plant Steven. I know you guys love aglaonemas. If you were in the Philippines, you would absolutely love seeing all of these aglaonemas in person. And the thing about it is, if you're given a price for say like 200 or 300 pesos, in the Philippines, you can haggle or ask for what they call a final price. So if I were to ask for a discount, if they were saying like 300 pesos, I would go 200 and see if they would go for 200 pesos. Now, the more plants you buy or the more products you buy in general in the Philippines, the more potential that you could get a discount. At least that's what I learned from my family that lives in the Philippines. They always tell me that I should not take the first price. Although for me, if I really wanted to buy the plant, I would just pay the full price, because I mean, how can you not pay the full price for some of these beautiful plants? And you can see right over here, they've got some more philodendron. Now, I would say this is like a philodendron lemon lime. Really love the neon yellow foliage plants. And as you can see, the Philippines just has a lot of them. And then you can go to any corner of the world and find some Aglaonema red siams. It looks like they've got some Calatheas mixed in. If you didn't see my previous debut video of some of my Philippine plant content, please check that out. I premiered it on Sunday, and a lot of people were able to see a lot of these plants to grow to their full potential. They were growing in landscapes, in the ground. They were not in pots, and they just grew into massive sizes like Dieffenbachia. I have a new profound love for Dieffenbachia just because I always say that Dieffenbachia are like really finicky plants, hard to grow plants indoors, spider mite prone, very leggy plants. But then as I went to the Philippines, I realized and learned that number one, Dieffenbachia don't necessarily need to have a lot of light. And number two, it's okay for a Dieffenbachia to get leggy because that's why it's called the dumb cane. It becomes a very caney stalk. And number three, the reason why Dieffenbachia end up becoming more spider mite prone when grown indoors in the West is because it doesn't have the humidity levels that it's looking for. Now, I just can't stop looking at this Aglaonema right here. That silver foliage is to die for. I've never seen an Aglaonema like that. And when I looked at it, they gave me the pricing for 300 pesos for this. Like, I really wish I could have taken some of these plants back to the United States, but unfortunately, there is a very strict rule about bringing plants overseas. There is a process where you have to declare them. You have to get a phytosanitary certificate. And even though I do have my own import license, I was able to import a couple of plants from Indonesia back in December. It's just another hassle that I didn't really want to get into. It wasn't something I planned for since I was only going to be in the Philippines for like 2 weeks. It's something I might revisit when I plan to go back into the Philippines, hopefully in the next 2 years. But you can see, look at this Aglaonema right here. As you can see, Aglaonema have different shapes and sizes, and unfortunately in the United States where I'm based at, Aglaonemas, the variety of them aren't as much as we can see in Southeast Asia, especially in the Philippines. Now, I happen to not be able to go to any more like big box stores or plant shops in the Philippines, or I didn't get as much time to. I was happy that I was able to go to 2 different varieties. So this one was actually out in Metro Manila. I happened to take a grab with my aunt and uncle who were accompanying me. They just said that, you know, plants are sporadic when it comes to plant shopping. Now, you always want to go to like a garden center nursery like this. Now, this one, they said wasn't as big, but for me, there's just so many varieties. Like right here is a variegated compact copperleaf plant. Now, I ended up buying a couple of copperleaf plants at North Haven Gardens, which is located out in Dallas, Texas. But I love the compact variety. You can see that the leaves are smaller. There's some beautiful variegation, and it is another plant that is really meant to grow outdoors, although I am growing mine in the hopes of being able to grow indoors. So I mentioned this in my previous video, but what I've learned about tropical plants is that tropical plants are for tropical environments. They're not necessarily indoor plants. Now, a lot of people will say tropical plants are indoor plants in the Western world. I would say the reason why they're indoor plants is because they can't grow outdoors in a because we don't have a tropical landscape. But when I talked to like local Filipinos there, they just said that most people don't grow plants indoors. They just let them grow outdoors and they just thrive. Like, I've literally seen beautiful variegated alocasia, beautiful plants plants literally grown on the side of the road with no pots, with not the best soil conditions, and they do just fine. You know, we talk about emulating the environment of a tropical plant. You know, we get humidifiers, we get IKEA cabinets, we get all sorts of grow lights, we get neem oil, we get all sorts of things to try to minimize plant pests, to, you know, emulate a tropical environment. But I've just realized that if you give the plant its natural environment, it will just grow to its full potential. Not to say that tropical plants are not meant to be enjoyed by people in the West. I would just say there is definitely a challenge when it comes to plant care. I do believe that, you know, growing, quote, indoor plants that we buy from big box stores, there is a huge business model when it comes to like a lot of the plant suppliers, because I think a lot of the plant suppliers know that these tropical plants will require us to get specific soils, specific fertilizers, specific pest controls. Because even when I was looking for like pest controls like neem oil or pesticides, they didn't really sell that in the Philippines. Now, maybe I wasn't looking in the right places, but for the most part, I didn't really see a lot of plants that needed any type of pest control. Maybe I just happened to see them luckily, but as you can see at Bulon Garden Center, they just have so many varieties of plants. This variegated Chiflera is a very common plant that I saw, but even the variegation is stunning, and the fact that I was able to see that grown in full sun was amazing. And we had Ficus triangularis, which is actually another plant that has grown massively in the Philippines. I've seen some that were like 10 feet tall, and they were just big trees. And then you can see right here, we've got some more variegated plants. I love the fact that variegated plants are also considered common plants in the Philippines. And you can see here is a Ficus altissima. Now this I've shown you in a previous video can grow up to about 30 feet tall. It is amazing, and it's really inspiring for me to be able to show you these plants. But as you can see right here, this is a typical garden center in the Philippines. Definitely a different vibe when it comes to big box store plant shopping, but nonetheless, they have some gorgeous plants, beautiful variegated plants like this. I do have a variegated Chiflera that I've been growing outdoors, and it has done well even in full sun. So super excited for that. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to get them to grow as beautiful as these in the Philippines, but needless to say, I hope you guys like so far what you've seen from my plant shopping videos, my plants featured from the Philippines. I know this is a little bit of a different content, and I did want to pan over here, so I will show you more of the plants I found in the mall. But look at these aglaonemas that are just growing out in a mall food court. They've got several different varieties of aglaonema, so you can see that in the Philippines they do grow aglaonema indoors. They are low light tolerant, so they are easy to display. Beautiful different types of aglaonema. Aglaonemas are inexpensive in the Philippines, and I really wish I was able to take some of these aglaonema back home. I would have had suitcase after suitcase after suitcase if I had the case, but as you can see right here, beautiful aglaonema. I will be panning off a couple of different types of clips for this video just so I can make sure I have at least an hour long of content for y'all. And then this is another plant shop. This is called the Muji shop, which is found in SM Mega Mall. This is just a small section from a Japanese plant lifestyle area. I don't even know what to call it, but you can see they've got some Sansevieria here. I will say that the department store shop right here has a little bit more expensive plant pricing. Like this one is for 225 pesos for some of these really unique looking Sansevieria. Again, the exchange rate is 58 pesos to $1. So this was around what, $4 or something of that nature. And the Phoetonias, for instance, were 245 pesos. Again, it's 58 pesos to $1. I do think that Phoetonias are interesting. I do find this one. This is a Bacularis, Sansevieria Bacularis, for 125 pesos. One of the easiest snake plants to take care of. Actually, all of these snake plants that they have here are probably the easiest ones to take care of. I would highly recommend it, although I would say 145 pesos for that is a little bit pricey. Now, Muji, again, is a Japanese home goods type department store in this SM Mega Mall, which is one of the biggest malls in the Metro Manila area. And you can see right here, we've got a Philodendron Hederaceum for 125 pesos. We've got another Phoetonia here. Now, this is a Phoetonia I didn't really see in the United States. It's got a little bit more green. And then obviously we have some of these smaller Phoetonias Phetonias. Now, Phetonias do require a lot of humidity, but if you live in the Philippines, it is a super humid country, so you don't have to worry about a humidifier. You can literally grow these outdoors and they will do just fine. But I do like the plant styling of this. It's a very neat little section of plants. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to go to a lot of like plant shops in the Philippines because I did spend a lot of time visiting with my family, but I was adventurous to go to another local plant shopping area called Cardar Manila, Philippines, which is really known for its pet. It's almost like a pet flea market. They have so many different varieties of pet shops there, but they also have a Greenland plants and orchid center. Now, I did take a grab alongside with my friend Isaac, who happens to be a plant foldie that went with me to the Philippines, and we took a grab, which is basically their version of an Uber, to go look for some plants. And this section actually had a lot of different stalls of different plants here. Again, it's more of like a flea market type situation. The thing about it is in the Philippines is that their garden centers are not really set up like a plant shop, like a boutique shop. It's really interesting how their plants are really displayed as plants that are really meant for outdoors. So for the most part, you're not going to see a really fancy, cutesy boutique plant shop that we do see out in the Western world. This is really just all of the plants that you would see as if they were displayed outdoors. Like you can see Aldrin Plant Shop. They've got different plant shops. Now, the thing about it is I wasn't in detail as far as picking up the plants and showing them, because you got to think, it's a foreigner. Even though I'm Filipino, they can tell that I am from the United States. You know, filming their areas already is a little bit awkward. I did ask for permission if I could blog, and they did agree, but I also wanted to respect the fact that they still had a business to run. You know, they don't have as many people blogging about plants in the Philippines, or at least the ones I know of. So that's the reason why I may not have gone as close or as in-depth with the plants. I did want to show you some of these highlight plants. Like, look at how big that Ficus triangularis is. Absolutely stunning. And you can see right over here another Ficus triangularis. Now, when I asked for these large shrub Ficus triangularis, those were only for 500 pesos, which is not bad at all. So again, 58 pesos to $1. Now, if you do have, US dollar currency, you would definitely do well in terms of buying these plants. Like right here is another variegated bougainvillea. Bougainvilleas, for instance, in the Philippines grow so well because it is a tropical country, and you'll never have to worry about like extreme freezes. If anything, you really have to worry about the humidity levels in the Philippines. While the degree may not be as high, like in the North Dallas, for instance, we're in the triple digits. Their heat index becomes really hot though in the Philippines because of the humidity. But as you can see right here, I will be able to zoom in a couple of plants, but you can see that they just have a mixture of different types of plants, whether it's flowering plants, citrus fruiting plants, or like aroids, philodendrons. They have it at all of these locations. Like you can even see right here, they've got some lantana, but notice how they have really thick Pachira aquatica trees. Now this one right here was for 3,000 pesos. Really good price as well. What they do is they actually take the Pachira aquatica or the money tree and graft it onto a thick stump like that, so it looks a little bit thicker. Now look at how large they are, and only for 3,000 pesos, that is not a bad price at all. Again, you could haggle, you could ask for a discount. Although even when I did try to haggle and ask for a discount, I really didn't get a big discount. I don't know if it's because they knew that I was from overseas. But either way, it's always a fun process. It's a cultural thing because obviously you can't go to the United States and ask for a discount at like a department store or a grocery store or even a plant shop. But in the Philippines, for instance, if I wanted to get this highly variegated Schefflera plant, now this was only sold for 150 pesos. I may ask to see if they would discount it for like 100 pesos, which is literally under $2. I wish I could have bought this highly variegated Schefflera. Look at how gorgeous this is. And notice how the Philippines has all of these plants in grower planters. So these are grower bags versus having them in plastic containers. I think it's more cost effective. It's definitely more eco-friendly. And you can see right here, croton plants. Now in the Philippines, they call croton plants, San Francisco plants. Now those will grow out in the wild, they'll grow out in the jungle. And as I continue to showcase some of my plant content from the Philippines, you will realize how these plants literally grow rampant and wild in a tropical environment. And that's the thing I want all of our plant foldies to understand and learn is, while I do all of these plant shopping videos at big box stores like Walmart, Home Depot, or Lowe's, just know that these big box stores have to be sourced out, and the source would be Southeast Asia or even in Latin countries. Like here, any corner of the world, you will find an Aglaonema red Siam. Highly recommend this. And this Aglaonema red Siam was priced at 200 pesos. And we've got a Ficus elastica burgundy. Now, I did show you the full tree of a Ficus elastica burgundy. So literally you can plant this Ficus elastica burgundy in the ground in the Philippines, and within a couple years, it can become a full grown tree. Same thing with the Ficus elastica taniki. Now, these rubber tree plants were priced at 300 pesos each. Now, this is a pretty dehydrated Dracaena tornado. You can see that it looks like it needs a little bit of water. Now, with Dracaenas, they are very drought tolerant, but this one has kind of pushed the limit. That one was for 200 pesos. And then we've got some more ZZ plants right there, and then even more Aglaonema. I am obsessed with the Aglaonema. Like this one right here was priced at 400 pesos. And then we also have some more of these Aglaonema. I don't know if this is Snow Spring. You know, all of the Aglaonema typically look very similar. So unless you have the original plant ID, it's very hard to differentiate an Aglaonema unless it's like the Aglaonema red Siam. And then over here, we've got a sensation plant, or what they call a peace lily. Beautiful peace lily, and that was only for 200 pesos as well. So again, plant foldies, let me know in the comments what you think about some of the plants I'm showing you in the Philippines. Is it something that you expected? Would you go plant shopping in the Philippines? I definitely would, especially for like a philodendron like this. This one grows rampant as well. And these are plants that in the Philippines, you can literally grow straight into the ground and they will thrive. They actually do better with little neglect versus overcompensating with the plant care. And then over here, this is the Selum. I would say that is the plant of the country, the plant of the hour, because everywhere I turned, I would see Selum, or what they would call the Tomathophyllum. Now, plant foldies, give me feedback if that is the correct plant term. All I know is they were everywhere. Same thing with spider plants. So you can see right here, look at how thick this spider plant is. Super cute. And they had so many different varieties of spider plants. In the Philippines, they use them more so as ground cover. And you can see they've got some very small Dieffenbachia here. I am actually not afraid to grow Dieffenbachia anymore. I just understand that if they don't do well for me, it's not because of my plant care. It's because of the environment I may have provided for them. And then you can see right here, we've got a bunch of Photonia plants. Now, the Photonias were a little bit pricey. She priced them at 100 each. So I don't know if Photonias are just a popular plant in the Philippines, or maybe I would have to ask for a bigger discount if I were to buy these plants. But notice how she's got different varieties of plants. Photonias, I haven't really seen a Photonia that only has like a red vein. I typically see like the really red ones or the pink ones or the white ones. So the greenish ones are actually a unique look for me. I haven't really seen that. Again, with Photonias, you really need to give them more humidity. They are more of an ideal terrarium plant. But I guess in the Philippines, that you don't have to worry about humidity because there is such high humidity on a daily basis. When I visited the Philippines, it actually is what they call rainy season or monsoon season. So it would rain off and on, and with the rain being off and on, the humidity levels would just increase. And you can see here, they've got a beautiful Monstera Deliciosa, very classic plant. It is a plant that I would recommend any plant parent to have in their collection. And then they've got some beautiful Epipremnum Aureum. Now, I would say this might be an Enjoy Pothos. Really hard to tell. Now, those were 200 pesos. And then they've got another Sansevieria bacularis. This is probably my favorite type of Sansevieria or snake plant because it is the easiest one. The ones that are more cylindrical are easy to take care of. And then you can see right over here, beautiful spider plant. This has more of a yellow tone to it. It almost reminds me of a Dracaena Janet Craig compacta. Now, this one was being sold for 150 pesos. So again, really good plant pricing, especially especially if you have US dollars. Again, the plant conversion, or the conversion from pesos to dollar, is 58 pesos to $1. So you can really buy a lot of plants. Those are beautiful spider plants. And then we also have a peperomia right here. Now that one was also priced at 150. And then we also have an aloe vera right over here for 150. And then she had a crusala or jade plant for 50 pesos. So super cheap plants indeed. Again, whenever you are plant shopping in the Philippines, I wouldn't recommend, especially if you're not buying from a department store, like if you're buying from a grocery, not a grocery store, like a garden center, you can ask to haggle. It is appropriate to not take the first price. Typically foreigners will just buy the price, but typically if somebody says it's for 300 pesos, you can ask to see if they can lower it down to 200, maybe meet in the middle for 250 pesos, somewhere around that. Or you can probably get even a bit better deal if you buy like so many plants at once. But as you can see here, they've got some calamansi, which is basically the Philippine lime. I had one of those before. It's a profuse fruit bearer, and I really love that. And that one was only for 200 pesos. Now, when you think about buying a calamansi tree in the United States, a very small 3-gallon one is already $60. So you can see that when a plant is native or tropical, it becomes even more common and more easily accessible. You can see right here, coleus plants. Again, this coleus plant was only 100 pesos. And coleus plants in the Philippines are called Mayana plants, and that's the thing that's really interesting. Any other part of the world, they have different names for different plants. Mayana plants or coleus plants are a very popular plant because they're easy to propagate, and when it comes down to it, Filipinos in general, they like to save money. You know, life is a little bit challenging already in the country of the Philippines, but when it comes to plants, I've noticed that Filipinos will share their plants, they'll propagate their plants, or they will find a really good deal, like this at the Cardar Manila Center. If I was able to literally take some of these plants home, I would. I was very tempted, but I did not want to get some type of fine for trying to get plants overseas without any type of documentation. That's just not worth it. So for now, I am just admiring the plants and sharing what plants I have for you. Plant foldies, if you have made it this far to my plant shopping video and you haven't already, please hit the like button, as well as leave many comments in the comment section. I can't tell you how much it helps the engagement of my YouTube videos. YouTube will actually push my videos out to even more plant lovers the more likes and the more comments we get, as well as the engagement and watch time. So hopefully if you watch my video, you'll watch it till the very end, because I definitely want to grow our plant community. We are now at 9,800 subscribers, so only 200 more subscribers to hit that 10K view. I will work extremely hard to try to get you guys daily plant content, daily new plant content, like I did in the past before I went to my vacation. And I did want to show you a really cool arowana plant. Don't worry, I'll bring the plants back. This is just a small clip, so don't click away or disappear. But arowana is a lucky fish, and this fish right here was literally retailing for close to 1,000 US dollars. So you can only imagine how expensive the plant, not the plant, but the fish is. I love arowana fish because they have such an interesting personality. You can see right here, what a beautiful fish. I wish I could have filmed a little bit more of the pets. They just have many different stalls of different pets, but I really wanted to stay focused on the plants. So as you can see right here, we've got another Rodeo oyster plant. Now what's interesting is these are the juvenile versions of the Rodeo oyster plant. They actually become cane-like and become really large as they mature, as well as croton plants. So oftentimes we see a croton plant. The only time I've seen a croton plant be almost a full-grown tree is at Archie's Greenland, which is a garden center out in Fort Worth, Texas. But for the most part, I've never really seen a very large croton plant. I really just don't think that we have the right tropical environment for them in the United States. That's the reason why they're finicky plants, and that's the reason why, the more I think of it, when people have to have like IKEA cabinets to like house their plants that need more humidity, special grow lights, special pest systemic granules, you know, all of these pest control sprays that we have. It's because the plant, when you bring them indoors to grow in an indoor situation, that compromises the plant's health. And what I mean by that is you take a plant, like say this Rhodea oyster plant, put it indoors, and if it doesn't have that ambient, tropical, natural environment, the plant's health will decline, which means it will be more susceptible to plant pests. That's just really the nature of it. And that's the reason why we see plant pests indoors. You know, I've seen it happen to me multiple times where I've had a pet infestation, and that's because I may not have had the best growing natural conditions. And you got to think of it too, like all of these tropical plants that we're showing from the Philippines, they're outdoors, which means if they're growing outdoors, they have natural plant pest predators. It's just a whole natural thing that goes on. And that's the reason why when I came back and I started filming or, you know, editing these videos, I kind of reevaluated some of the plants that I would have in my plant collection. I would say the majority of my plants did survive not being watered for 2 weeks. There were a couple plants that didn't make it, but that just gave me a sign to say that some of these plants may just not be able to grow in my care. I do plan on downsizing my plants as well. And you can see here another hanging basket of another type of philodendron. I forgot the plant ID. The lady gave it to me. It was not a philodendron lemon lime. It could very well be a philodendron lemon lime. Maybe they call it different in the Philippines. But look at how beautiful that neon yellow color is. Absolutely stunning. And then you can see here we've got another Monstera Peru in a hanging basket. Now all of these hanging baskets that I'm showing you, these philodendron, were only for 200 pesos. Again, if you do the conversion, it's $1 equals 58 pesos. So you would definitely get a good deal. Now this Epipremnum Arium Golden Pothos was only 100 pesos right here in a hanging basket. Now these pothos plants, as I show you more plant content from the Philippines, you will see that some of these plants will really showcase their full maturity or their full potential of how they should look in the wild. And as you can see here, more Aglaonema. That was something that just got me super excited. And you can see right here, we've got a Philodendron Gloriosa. This one is for 300 pesos, but it was quite a big Philodendron Gloriosa. So it was literally around under $6 US. If you think of it, very good price considering, you know, at a big box store, Proven Winners is selling them for like $19.84, and they're even smaller. But as you can tell, when you are in a Southeast Asian country like the Philippines, these plants are so common, readily available, easy to grow. The plant pricing is just substantially cheaper. And that's the reason why I understand a lot of people wanting to like import certain plants from like Thailand, Indonesia, and even the Philippines, is because there's so many plants readily available. The only thing I would say about it is plant foldies is these plants are really meant to grow in a tropical environment. Not to discourage anybody that's growing houseplants. Like I would love to be able to grow all of these tropical plants, but I just know, at least for my lifestyle, my growing environment, and just the amount of time I can invest in my plants, I may not be able to grow them and give them the right growing conditions. It could be different for somebody else. Some of you guys might actually have like a full-blown greenhouse with high humidities of like 80%, really high temperatures of like 85 all day long with huge grow lights. But that's just not something that is sustainable for my lifestyle. So I am going to be growing plants that are a little bit more tolerant for the current conditions. Like I would say even philodendron for the most part, like this philodendron right here, this philodendron can grow fairly well indoors. I'm not saying that all these tropical plants aren't able to grow indoors, because clearly there are so many plant lovers, plant collectors in the United States that have some amazing plant collections. But all I'm saying is sometimes the plant care kind of takes a back seat when you know that you can provide them that tropical ambient environment like the ones in the Philippines. And it's just amazing because a lot of plants are really balanced. Like I think Filipinos in general, they love their plants, but their plants are not really considered like a status type plant. Like I don't really see a lot of Filipinos, at least from my experience in the 2 weeks, talking about, oh, this is a rare plant, I have to buy it, it's part of my collection. It's more of just if the plant brings them joy. And that's the thing I've always talked about in my plant shopping videos. It doesn't matter if the plant is super rare or whatnot, or the price tag. It's all about, does the plant bring you joy? And that's the reason why some people make fun of me when I say I have a coleus obsession. I do. I love them. They actually survive. I had them on a sprinkler auto water system and they all did well for me. But as much as a coleus plant is common, some people will even argue that it is an outdoor plant. I absolutely love it. And that's the thing that resonates to me with, Filipinos in general. They just have plants growing outside, and it's just part of their daily lives, and it's really just to enhance the landscape. But as you can see here, all of their plants are mixed up, so you really don't know whether these plants are just outdoor plants or indoor plants, because all their plants grow outdoors. Like, look at how gorgeous that croton plant is. And I do have a new profound love for crotons, at least admiring them when they make their full potential. Actually, all plants are gorgeous when they are able to grow to their full maturity. And for the most part, you'll only see the full maturity plants if you go to like a conservatory in the United States, or if you go to a tropical country like the Philippines. Highly recommend people making a trip to the Philippines. The Philippines is a beautiful country. It is a third world country, so it's not always going to be luxury and, convenience at all times. You have to accept the country for its goodness as well as some of the negatives. But for the most part, all of the good that happens with the Philippines outweighs any negative experiences you would have. Super safe country. They do speak English, so you don't have to worry about a language barrier. And you'll be able to see beautiful Ficus shiveriana like this. This was only retailed for 200 pesos, and it's already a nice size plant. And that is another plant you can grow in the ground in the Philippines, and it will become a full-blown tree. Same thing with all of those rubber trees, that Ficus ruby, Ficus burgundy, Ficus taniki. They've got all the different varieties there. Super exciting. And they do have hanging baskets of bromeliads. Really cool to look at. And even when the sun hits that, it gives it that reddish glow to it. And you can see that Isaac is actually with me, one of my really good friends. He's been my best friend of 25 years, has been in the Philippines. This would be our 4th trip together. And it's just amazing. And then can you believe that this Syngonium strawberry ice is only being sold for 100 pesos? 100 pesos. I went to PlantCon 2024 in Houston, and a plant like this was being sold for $60. Now, this was a plant I was really tempted to try to get overseas. I wanted to buy it, but alas, I didn't. But that was only for under $2. And they also had some other rare Syngoniums right over here next to some Palea plants or some aluminum plants. So again, it is all about having all of these plants and they're priced well. But can you imagine Syngonium strawberry ice for under $2? That is insane. But again, that goes to show that different parts of the world, when a plant is readily available and common, or quote common, the plant pricing is just more affordable. I would say all the plant pricing in the Philippines is more affordable. Honestly, you could probably call what we call prop lift and take a cutting from the side of the road and get yourself a new propagated plant. Gorgeous Aglaonema, I would say right over here. These are the super pink Aglaonema. Now, these ones were retailing at 200 pesos as well. Although my aunt says 200 pesos was a little bit much for the Aglaonema, she did mention that they were probably pricing the plants a little bit more so for me because I am considered a foreigner. That is also the only drawback about it. So if you're going to go plant shopping in the Philippines, bring yourself a local or somebody who lives in the Philippines. They can help you haggle and possibly get some cheaper pricing. But honestly, even 200 pesos, which is under $4 for that beautiful Aglaonema, that is still a really good price. And then you can see they've just got different varieties of different plants. I could buy all of these plants. I could honestly live in the Philippines and just have a whole landscape of different types of plants. Now you can see they did have a couple of Hydra Helix. Now, for those that don't know why I say Hydra Helix, that's just a mispronounced way of saying Hedera Helix, which is English ivy. And then you can see right here, we've got some Phalaenopsis orchids. Actually, for not that many Phalaenopsis orchids, they have some gorgeous varieties here. Now, these Phalaenopsis orchids were only for 75 pesos, which is a really good deal, again, for Phalaenopsis orchids. Now, Phalaenopsis orchids are epiphytes. They grow naturally in the Philippines, so they're readily available. You can literally find them in the wild growing. So it's not a big deal for somebody in the Philippines to have a Phalaenopsis orchid. I will say that these are still beautiful blooms right there. I did want to also showcase a variegated Pachira aquatica. It was a huge one while I was out in the mall. I was at Green Hills in Metro Manila, and you can see that these variegated Pachira aquatica were just grafted onto a stump. But the fact of the matter is, a variegated Pachira aquatica in the United States, just a small variety, will cost like 200 pesos. And this is literally in the middle of the mall with a lot of foot traffic, with a lot of people passing by it. And notice how it's just out in the open and nobody's really paying attention to how uncommon expensive this plant would be in the western part of the world. I thought that was really interesting. I definitely want a Pachira aquatica variegated one. This money tree one right here is something that I would aim. And then notice how they have another aglaonema, which is actually a different type of aglaonema I've never seen before. That silver foliage was literally at a toy shop specializing in Funko Pops, but this was just found in the corner. Love the white stems of aglaonema. Again, aglaonema are very low light tolerant plants. They do better in bright indirect light. You'll get the best coloring, but notice how it's just in the middle of a mall, in a mall shop featuring Funko Pops. And that's just the symbiotic relationship that Filipinos have with their plants. Maybe that's the reason why I am drawn to plants. You know, a lot of my plant interest is really coming from my grandmother who taught me about plants, but so glad that I was able to show you guys all of the plants from the Philippines. Hopefully I don't lose engagement. I know you want to see the big box store plant shopping videos. Don't worry, they're coming. I will definitely film those, but I just felt the need to showcase a different type of plant content for my plant foldy community. I figured that I would be able to show you plants in their native environment. Like here is another philodendron, and notice how they have a lot of stray dogs. This dog was super cute. So this is just a clip of my friends and I on our way to Sabang in Palawan, which is basically on the way to go to the underground river, which is one of the natural wonders of the world. But notice this philodendron, which I'm not 100% sure what type of philodendron this is. It could be a philodendron emerald or red Congo. No, it's not red Congo, but anyways, it has grown on a dead tree stump and has literally covered it up, and it's just growing its best life. Again, that is another plant that is just growing in the wild. Nobody's really taking care of it, but you can see that the aerial roots have taken over. And notice how there's just volunteers of caladiums that pop up, as well as these maranthas. And then even when you start looking in deeper on some of the grass, you can see that there are other tropical plants that grow. You can see that that is a massive croton right next to it. So plant folies, let me know what you think of that philodendron. That is absolutely stunning. And you can see that this croton right here is actually in the shade, but it's still doing extremely well. So that just goes to show that if a plant is in its natural environment, it will thrive. It will show its best self. And that's basically something that I learned about the Philippines. It's not always about the plant care tips. Plant care tips are basically tips to emulate an environment to where it's conducive to your plant potentially surviving indoors. That's basically it. Like even over here, look at these plumerias. Gorgeous blooming white fragrant plumerias. I saw different varieties as well. It was so fragrant, and it's right next to a papaya tree. But as you can see, beautiful landscape. You'll see more of this from my future videos, but look at how gorgeous the country of the Philippines is. I'm super proud to be Filipino. And again, I want to show you these gorgeous crotons right here. These are plants that most people in the Philippines would just kind of ignore. But to me, I was like a kid at a candy shop gawking and just super excited to be able to see these beautiful plants. Like look at how massive these croton plants are. Now this is typically a croton you would find as a Costa Farms exotic angel plant at a Lowe's or a Home Depot or a Walmart, being sold for like $547 and $497. But as you can see here, this is the potential of what it could look like in its natural environment. Now this was just a short clip of me and my friends as we are starting to head onto a boat headed towards the underground river sanctuary. So you can see that is slightly cloudy. You can see that that is another type of ficus plant as well. So many ficus plants in the Philippines. I wish I could have identified each and every one of them, but again, it is a tropical country, so you'll see many different tropical plants, but it was a beautiful day, and I just love the fact that the ocean was great, the wind felt great, and while it was humid, while it was hot, just the scenery and just being out in a tropical country, enjoying these plants, enjoying the good food, enjoying how cost effective it was to be able to travel to the Philippines. I was really fortunate and thankful. And so for my plant foldies that did take the time to watch my plant marathon compilations for the last 2 weeks, thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for staying in and engaging with my plant videos. I would say that my viewership did take a huge hit. There weren't as many people watching. For those that were super loyal to watch my videos, I really am thankful. Hopefully I will regain back some of the viewership that I had before I went on vacation. And hopefully if you made it this far, you hit the like button. But as you can see here, look at how gorgeous the water is and how clear it is, how clean it is, how beautiful it is. I wish that everybody watching this video will consider traveling to the Philippines. The most expensive part is just the plane ticket. Everything else is pretty cost effective. And then over here is another philodendron. So this is another clip from BGC Uptown Mall. So they had a bunch of beautiful philodendron. I actually have a full episode dedicated to the BGC Uptown Mall plants, but I'm not 100% sure what type of philodendron this is. I will say it is a common one that I often find in planters or in landscapes. And then right next to it is a fan palm. Really love the look of fan palm. I didn't ask how much a fan palm would cost in the Philippines. That is another plant I would love to add into my plant collection. The thing about it is I need to know whether it requires a lot of bright light. Most palms do. So that's the reason why I have been a little bit cautious about adding them to my collection. But look at how gorgeous this street is in the urban metropolitan area of Uptown BGC Mall. Gorgeous plant. You can see that there is a huge, beautiful fan type banana plant or maybe palm plant. And I just love the urban planting that they have for their green spaces. The Philippines has really merged their green spaces with their architecture, and I really love that. The fact that the Philippines is in an advantage for being able to grow tropical plants as part of their landscape is amazing, because why not take natural plants and that are conducive to your climate? Like you can see right here, we've got some more plants. As I'm walking up, we've got even more plants right over here. There's just plants everywhere you go in the Philippines, and that's the reason why it was very important for me to film a lot of the plants here. You can see here another massive philodendron, gorgeous philodendron. And as I turn around, you can see there are a lot of what they call living walls. So in the Philippines, they have highways and places where they just literally have vertical gardens. I've seen this at some of the plant boutique shops, but they don't do it as well as the Philippines. Like literally that living wall is living outdoors, which gives it a better growing environment in general. And you can see here, this is actually plants, like another plant garden on top of on the fifth floor of a mall. And you can see here they've got a Ficus altissima. You've seen that this tree can grow into like a 30-foot tree right next to some aglaonema and some other tropical plants here. But what was really interesting is this whole deck of plants is actually on the fifth floor of a building. And then here's a ficus tree plus Epipremnum pinnatum that has grown and attached itself. Now, I'm not 100% sure what that ficus tree is. What I do know is it's just a massive but beautiful tree that is growing out at the BGC Makati area when I was walking one day. Here is a clip of some Dieffenbachia when we landed in Puerto Princesa International Airport. Super excited to see that they had some beautiful Dieffenbachia, a large peace lily, and just all these tropical plants. Now, this is another type of variegated Aralia. I really like the look of that as well. I think it's a stunning plant. It is another plant that I realized that doesn't like to dry out completely. So again, that is another plant that just wouldn't do well in my care because I consider myself more of an underwaterer. But plant foldies, I do want to know your comments about what you think about the plants in the Philippines. I want all your thoughts. I really want to get that feedback because I'm just really excited to show you these plants. Like, can you imagine seeing in an airport variegated plants? Now, I don't know if this is like a variegated peace lily or some type of philodendron, but look at that Aurea type variegation. Isn't that just amazing? Like, this is literally at a baggage claim in Puerto Princesa, and that's just amazing. Like, I was literally that crazy person filming all of these beautiful plants. I mean, everybody else was kind of like not even paying attention to it, but I would say even for the plant foldies, would you not love to see all of these different types of aglaonema, peace lilies, aureolias, maranthas, philodendron, as you pick up your luggage from an airport? Like, I had to go film some of these just because I just thought it was a really cool ordeal. You can see that aglaonema is more of like an orange peach tone. I've never seen that type of variety of an aglaonema. Again, I regret that I wasn't able to take some plants from the Philippines back home, but I did learn a lot. It did really reshape the way I look at plants. Like, for instance, Dieffenbachia. Huge fan of Dieffenbachia. Look at how beautiful the variegation is on this Dieffenbachia. Now, these Dieffenbachia were massive. They were about 3 to 4 feet in height, and they just look stunning. And then these Dieffenbachia are actually being grown indoors, and they still were doing very well. Now, this one is more of a common Dieffenbachia that I found, but again, it is another beautiful Dieffenbachia that I could just see a whole Dieffenbachia collection. The thing about it is, Dieffenbachia, they just don't do well in the western part of the world just because they do really require that humidity, that tropical environment. That's the reason why they are more spider mite prone, just because they need that light as well. Although I will say Dieffenbachia, when I saw them in the Philippines, they were growing in lower light conditions and doing well. But this one is an absolutely stunning one. I don't even know what this Dieffenbachia variety is, but it has some gorgeous variegation. Now, Plant Foldy Luke also went with me to the Philippines, and we were on our way to see the Firefly tour. So you would actually have to get on a boat and ride on a boat in a river, deep into the river to see. But as I was getting ready to go to the Firefly show, I was able to see some beautiful aglaonema as well being grown in this section, and you can see they've got different varieties of aglaonema. Unfortunately, I don't know the aglaonema plant IDs. What I do know is that they were thriving, they didn't look like they needed a lot of care, and they just had different varieties of aglaonema. So for my aglaonema lovers, let me know what you think of these aglaonema. I definitely want to get back into aglaonemas. I did push the envelope in terms of not watering certain aglaonemas, and they started to lose a lot of their leaves. So while a plant might be drought tolerant, you don't want to push the boundaries too much like I have. But as you can see here, 3 different types of aglaonema, beautiful foliage, and it just makes me happy to be able to see that in my home country. Before I went onto that Firefly tour, I wish I would have been able to get the fireflies on film, but that would have been a little bit more challenging. They are called Quito in the Philippines, and basically if there are fireflies, that means that the air is fresh and clean. And then you can see here there is a huge some type of Calathea growing indoors. So as you can see that they can grow some plants indoors, and this one is another massive Calathea right over here. So super cool. And the Firefly tour in Puerto Princesa was amazing. I was able to go see a lot of the nature and the natural beauty of the Philippines, but you can see this one is a fairly mature Calathea as well. You know, Calatheas also require more tropical environments. They tend to do better that way. And this is just a view of my boat as we're returning back from the Firefly tour. It was super dark. We literally couldn't see anything. It was kind of scary at the same time, but overall, I had a lot of fun, and I did want to show you a couple more plants here. So it looks like they've got some more Calathea, some type of Calathea. Not 100% sure what that Calathea is, but needless to say, it's got a beautiful metallic tone about it. It is nighttime, so you may not get all of the colors, or they may not show up as well. I did want to just show you different clips, and you can see right here, they've got some more aglaonemas. Like, aglaonemas, plant foldies were very common to find in the Philippines. They were just everywhere, and that's cool because I love aglaonemas. And you can see this is another Dieffenbachia of some sort. You can see they've got many different types of plants here. Another type of philodendron. I don't know if this is like the philodendron jungle boogie. Really nice serrated leaves. Again, another type of Calathea right here. Some type of philodendron or Anthurium, not 100% sure. But at the end of the day, all of these plants are thriving because they are in a tropical environment. I repeat, these plants are easy to grow because they are in a tropical environment. So all of these, quote, tropical indoor plants, they're not indoor plants, plant foldies. These are plants that were taken from a tropical environment and were able to grow indoors because we have been able to try to emulate that environment. So again, there goes Isaac right there. He is having a good time. So glad he came with me. He has been my friend for about 25 years. And it's just been such a great journey to share that with you guys, as well as just sharing all of these different plants. Again, I was one of those crazy people, people were thinking, why am I taking videos or photos of these plants? It's because I was just so surprised that a lot of these plants don't have like special cabinets, don't have special placing. They literally are just put out right next to the water deck, and they're growing. And you can even see this philodendron has attached itself to one of the poles. It just, look at all those aerial roots that have just attached itself there. And you can see that they've got some type of beautiful Dieffenbachia again here. I have become more of a Dieffenbachia fan, but I just know myself. I know that my growing environment is not going to be conducive to growing them successfully. So sometimes it's just better to admire plants from either videos or just to look at them in their natural environments. And I spent a lot of time doing that. I spent a lot of time just really reflecting on what I wanted to do with my plant YouTube video, what I wanted to do with my plants. And so plant foldies, again, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos, especially for my loyal plant foldies. Know that I will continue to make daily plant content, or at least I'll try my very best. It depends on how much work I have piled up tomorrow. I actually have a little bit of stress thinking about it, but I just know that once I get into work, it'll just have to, it'll just have to settle. I don't know if you've ever had that situation where you take a long vacation and have to come back to work. If you have, please leave it in the comments. Again, comments, likes for my videos really help. I know that I have some really big supporters, like Isaac was telling people, there's 25 people watching the video, but only 7 likes. That's really just so we can get these videos going. Unless you really don't like my videos, I hope that you would at least take the time to hit the like button and leave me some comments. I did travel literally thousands of miles. It literally took me 18 hours to get to the Philippines to be able to get you guys this unique content, or I would say it's fairly unique. I don't see a lot of plant YouTubers that do big box or plant shopping videos featuring international plants. So hopefully you guys will appreciate that. Like this plant right here, I'm not even sure what plant this is, if this is like some type of cordyline plant or something else, but as you can see, it is nighttime, but I still wanted to take a little bit of time to show you guys the plants. Let's see what else they have over here. They just have so many different random plants scattered across this area. You can see that this is actually a cordyline plant that was actually pretty rare. I bought a small one for $20, but clearly this one is thriving and is huge in the Philippines. And then they have some type of green philodendron right over there. Philodendron are very common to find in the Philippines, and this is another type of musa or banana tree plant over there as well. But beautiful cordyline plant. Cordyline plants are actually super common as well in the Philippines, as well as the Dieffenbachia. Now this is some type of Aralia, I'm assuming, this highly variegated plant right here. So plant foldies, if you know the plant IDs for some of these plants, definitely leave that in the comments. And then you can see they've got a wide variety of different types of caladiums as well. Now caladiums in the Philippines don't really go through a dormancy phase. They typically just grow year round, and it's because it doesn't really get too cold in the Philippines, so it doesn't signal the caladiums to actually go dormant. Same thing with the alocasia. So again, with tropical environments, that's how you can get them to grow to their full potential, is because they are growing in their natural environment. A lot of plants go dormant because of the cold, and it's not always a natural occurrence for their natural environment. But as you can see here, these plants are definitely living their best life. Like, look at how beautiful this caladium is. I love caladiums specifically because of the heart shape, as well as the different types of colors and varieties that you can find for caladiums. Now, caladiums, again, are very readily available in the Philippines. And you can see this is some type of syngonium that has matured. You can see that it's got different trilobes. It's got 5 lobes, actually. Really cool looking plant. Now this is another plant that would want to attach itself to like a tree or some type of palm tree, and then the leaves will get even larger. And then you can see here we've got some more caladiums in a pot. more caladiums, and then this is some type of aglaonema. This looks like almost like an aglaonema silver bay. Common aglaonema, but needless to say, it's one of the easiest aglaonemas to take care of. And then this is another interesting aglaonema I've never seen. It has some beautiful white stems. I love the stripes as well. That's the thing about aglaonemas, especially in the Philippines. They don't really like plant ID them, so I struggle with that. I just know that this is an aglaonema. It's a beautiful one, needless to say. And you can see that as I pan away that this is that dock to get onto a boat to see all of the beautiful fireflies. You can see this is another type of Dieffenbachia. Really like the look of this Dieffenbachia as well. That one isn't doing as well, but for the most part, all of these plants are just stunning. Like this is another Dieffenbachia as well. I don't know the plant ID for this Dieffenbachia, but it would be another plant that I would like to add to my collection. So plant foldies, this video is about to end, but know that I will have many more plant videos from the Philippines. I will showcase some of the beautiful beaches and islands, show you guys all of the other plants. As you can see, they've got a bunch of desert rose here. This is the Kitu Firefly viewing area. Super glad I was able to see it, and it was really inexpensive to actually see the tour. So I highly recommend visiting the Philippines, not only for just the scenes, but also just to see these plants in general. So if you like this video, please hit that like button. Please hit that like button, plant foldies. It would really help my video out, as well as subscribing to my YouTube channel at Grow Folds with the notification bell on. This is Richie at Grow Folds. I will see you tomorrow with another plant video from my home country, the Philippines. See you soon.